Hi, it's me, Just Mike, and I thought I would talk a little bit today about the much discussed topic of Dutch directness, which is too often regarded by foreigners as rudeness. And I wanted to weigh in on that subject based on my own experience of the Dutch, having lived here in this country for 22 years now. I am American by birth and Dutch by choice. And I wanted to share with you my own experiences with regard to the Dutch and their directness, as well as to say that recently I uploaded a video about leaving the US and adopting the Netherlands as my forever home. And happily, that video was watched by 18,000 people at last count, and it received 166 comments. And so in my review of those comments, which were largely left by Dutch people, based on either their last name or by them saying so themselves, I can refer to that as a kind of survey of Dutch directness and or rudeness. So if I just review those 166 comments, I will say that overwhelmingly they are supportive and encouraging and welcoming and warm, as I have found the Dutch people to be in my experience of living among them for 22 years. 3 or 4 of the comments out of those 166 were, in fact, by my perspective, rude. Many were direct, but there is a distinction. From my understanding and my experience, the Dutch value directness as a form of transparency, as a form of efficiency, and I have come to value that, and frankly, I realize that I could learn to be a bit more like that. I can give you a much quoted example. For many cultures, Americans in particular and the British, they may hear about something or be told about something and respond, "That's interesting." And they may not actually believe that that's interesting. They may in fact think that that's not interesting at all, or something that they really don't like or that they don't agree with. And a Dutch person, out of respect for the other person, will be forthcoming and direct and sincere. And they would view a response of "that's interesting," when the person doesn't believe that it's interesting, as insincere. And frankly, I have to agree with them. Even as an American, and I know that that is an accusation that is leveled against Americans often by the Dutch, that Americans are fake or insincere. And I suppose that may come from the whole "have a nice day" culture in America. And the tendency to beat around the bush. And, you know, I confess, I grew up in that culture. I am American by birth, and so I am very much influenced by that. And for personal reasons, for family reasons, I also have learned to be a bit of a diplomat. So in many encounters with people, I have had to rely on my own diplomacy, for self-perceived, and find myself sometimes tiptoeing around a situation and, what I say, decorating a sentence with flowers, or if there's something that I want to say, sort of, you know, adding a little bit of sugar to the statement. And I've come to learn that that's not particularly valued by the Dutch, that the Dutch really, again, value straight talking and getting to the point. And I think there's something to be learned by that. I'm very curious to hear from my Dutch subscribers and viewers why it is you think historically the Dutch are so direct. I read actually recently one Dutch person saying that he felt it had something to do with the fight the ever-present fight against water, that for as long as the Netherlands has existed, they have been keeping the waters at bay. And so time is of the essence. And in such extremes, they really don't have time to waste. And so that's a driver for the directness. I don't know. That's an interesting theory. I wonder what your thoughts are about that. Again, I just wanted to share my perspective, and in the 22 years that I have lived here, have I encountered rude people? Absolutely. Is that the norm? Thankfully, no. In my 35 years of having lived in the US, did I encounter rude people? Absolutely. Is that the norm? Absolutely not. So, in my opinion, people are people no matter where you go. And I do really firmly believe that we have far more in common than what we have that is different. I think for most people, we have hopes and aspirations and dreams, and we experience loss, and we experience joy. We have friends and ambitions, and we work hard, and we try to achieve, and we experience heartbreak and suffering, and we have all of that humanness in common. And these cultural differences, I don't know, for me are more subtle. They are there to be seen and experienced, of course, but I don't know. For me, I just think too much has perhaps been made of Dutch directness, and especially again from foreigners, regarding that as rudeness. That has not been my experience. I want to tell you that when I first arrived here to this wonderful country in 2002, I was alone, and I very quickly met 3 different friends, all of them Dutch, and each of them opened up their hearts and their homes to me in ways which were so meaningful, so profound, so supportive. Now, I don't know. I can no longer recall whether I regarded them as being direct. I suppose they were. When they wanted to say something, they said it. They told me as they saw it. That's great, but really, they're not rude people. Again, you will find rude people wherever you go in this life, and you will find, hopefully, friends wherever you go in this life. So I just wanted to weigh in on that ever-present subject of Dutch directness and give you a sense of my own perspective. It's by no means any kind of official study, but it's just what I've observed in the time that I've been here. So thank you for listening to my take on the subject, and I look forward to speaking with you again.